really got to try on that left-hand side. What happened?
Oh, but I've gone up and over and bloody head over biscuit. It wasn't enough stability there for myself, but no, I was busting for a bit of meat this game. It didn't seem to work out.
Hello, cheers, and welcome to the Scrum of the Earth podcast, the weekly show for news, reviews, great interviews, and so much more, all about the world of rugby. My name is David Lawrence. I'm an American rugby fan who follows the game wherever I can find it all over the globe. If you'd like to get in touch, well, I'm easy to find on all your socials, and you can always just drop a good old-fashioned email to thescrumoftheearth@gmail.com. Well, there was once again a gargantuan amount of rugby on offer this weekend, including the return of the WXV, a comp that has my head spinning just so good. So why don't we take the chains off and get this thing going? So we start with our current updates. As always, there's just really not that much to report, actually, except that I have, in fact, gotten over my recent bout of COVID. You know, I've been really lucky. Like, both times that I know for a fact I've had it, I haven't really gotten very sick, per se. Just a little sniffly sneezy, a little run down. The big symptom both times has been losing my smell and taste entirely. It's a weird feeling, but anyway, I think I'm basically back to 100%, though I'm, to be fair, I'm still pretty bitter that my band had to cancel a gig on Friday because of COVID. Like, how 2021, right?
It's too good. People have to know.
No, Isa, it's definitely not good news this week, especially for Springboks fans. So, quoting here, quote, Springbok fly half Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu. I knew I was going to stomp on that. He could be sidelined for the remainder of the year due to a knee injury that he initially concealed from Springboks management. The rising star, who has impressed in his debut season for the World Champions, underwent surgery after aggravating the injury he sustained before South Africa's Rugby Championship opener against New Zealand. Despite the injury, Feinberg-Mngomezulu chose to play in that match, hiding the problem from the coaching staff. Speaking after South Africa's 48-7 victory over Argentina, spoiler alert, a Springboks official revealed that Feinberg-Mngomezulu's return may take longer than initially anticipated. Speaking to the AFP, the anonymous official said that the young fly half surgery was expected to keep him out for around 5 weeks, but new reports from his club suggest that he could be out for up to 12 weeks. Quote, now we're hearing that he may be sidelined for up to 12 weeks, which would sideline him for the rest of the year, said the official. Major concern is he has injured the same knee twice within a year, and if rushed back, could develop arthritis. The Stormers are wisely adopting a conservative approach. This would rule him out of South Africa's November tour of Europe and possibly even end his season, unquote. The article goes on a bit, of course, and it's linked in the show notes, but what a bummer, man. Like, I only recently discovered this guy and how incredible he is. So here's hoping he can bounce back and make a full recovery in good time. Moving on to our thoughts of the week. My thoughts of the week are on the brand new home of the HSBC Sevens in Hong Kong, China. Quoting here from Rugby Pass, quote, Hong Kong China Rugby have confirmed this week that the highly prestigious Cathay/HSBC Hong Kong Sevens will move to a new home during the 2024-25 HSBC Sevens series this season. The event will be held in the new 50,000-seat Kai Tak Stadium. Kai Tak Stadium is a state-of-the-art venue which is positioned down by the waterfront at Victoria Harbour. The multi-purpose sports venue was heavily rumored to be the new home for the Sevens Series stop, but that was only made official on Monday. Earlier this year, the Black Ferns Sevens and All Black Sevens claimed memorable Cup final triumphs on a historic night for the event. Thousands watched on as New Zealand claimed a Hong Kong Sevens double for the second year in a row. New Zealand's women's side beat Lodamar's USA 36-7. Yeah, nice. For a one-sided decider, the men's team backed that up with a thrilling 3-point win over France. It was a famous farewell to Hong Kong Stadium as the tournament prepares to usher in a new era on March 28th through 30th. Hey, that covers my son's birthday. Quote, Hong Kong China Rugby is extremely proud to be staging one of the key international events at the Kai Tak Sports Park during its opening period, creating what promises to be another significant milestone in the decades-long association between the rugby world and the Cathay HSBC Hong Kong Sevens. Chairman of Hong Kong China Rugby, Chris Brook, said, The convergence of Hong Kong's most iconic sporting event and the city's much anticipated and world-class stadium promises to usher in a transformational moment for both the Sevens and sport in our city. We have been working closely with World Rugby, KTSP, and relevant representatives of the Hong Kong government for over 5 years in preparation for this move, and are confident of being able to deliver a fitting international sporting event in the new stadium during KTSP's opening period. It is the fans that have made and will continue to make the Cathay HSBC Hong Kong Sevens a unique event in the world sports calendar, and we look forward to the new traditions that will arise around the event at the new Kai Tak Stadium. Unquote. Well, it's the end of an era. I'm sad I'll never get a chance to attend the iconic Grand Dame of this competition, but I mean, as a fan, it'll be great to see what the new venue looks and sounds like. I feel sure lots of craziness will ensue. So, that, of course, brings us to our reviews. As always, we're going to start on the international stage and then wend our way through the various club competitions. And can I just say, what a fall. The last few weeks here where I live, it's been so beautiful. The changing colors and the trees, the softly sifting golden light, the massive crow fights outside my window. Okay, well, that hasn't been beautiful, but it feels very witchy, and I'm here for it. So either way, autumn has arrived. We've entered into my favorite time of year. It's as if all the rugby is joining in for the march towards Samhain. Always a magical time here in New England. So, of course, this weekend marked the final piece of the boring Rugby Championship, which meant the All Blacks taking on the Wallabies in Wellington, a place that has been bad luck for the home team in the last few years. But as the Bledisloe was already wrapped up, I imagine both teams would play with caution to the wind. So time for your obligatory blow rugby complaints. So this may be the worst they've ever botched a replay. And I mean, that's saying something. The replay started around the 55th minute. It went on for a long time. The game ended, and then, I kid you not, rewound in front of your eyes like they just hit rewind and let it roll. The clock zipping backwards all the way to minute 1, but not the start of the match. Mind you, it only went back to when Taniela Tupou took some sort of injury that looked like it might rule him out. Give away the result, then go back, don't show us the anthems, skip the haka. Like, I'm racking my brain to think of a way they could possibly have screwed it up worse, and I'm completely at a loss. Oy vey already. In any event, Fraser McWright, he got the first score of the night, but Seba Reese, and then inevitably Will Jordan would answer. Serious question here, actually. How does Will Jordan do it? Like, he looks like an accountant, but he slices and dices defenders like he's put in some sort of cheat code. Like, some players, you can kind of see what they do that's special, but him, I honestly don't understand it. Anyway, Caleb Clark's try around the 64th minute, that would be the only score that New Zealand would get in the final 20 minutes of any match in this entire tournament, if I heard correctly. And after looking like they might take a lead in halftime, it was good night, Wallabies. Still, not an overwhelming performance by the Kiwis, but more than enough, finishing off their neighbors across the Tasman 33-13. A friend of the pod, Harry Jones, recently said that the All Blacks look like a very good team right now, and not much more than that. And I have to agree. Like, if you're anyone but South Africa or Ireland, you know, the New Zealand team they'll probably beat you, but not necessarily. And I think there are legitimate questions about the reign of Razor. Moving on, we had South Africa trying to put a bow on the BNRC for the year. They were facing Argentina and looking to exact a pound of flesh after last week's heartbreak. They may have come away with more than that, though, getting a 48-7 win over the Pumas, and once again, winning just didn't seem to be enough. So during the post-game press conference, a South African journalist accused the Argentina head coach, Felipe Contampone, of visiting the referee's changing room during halftime to complain about the officiating. Contampone, he got pretty mad about it, saying it was, quote, a lie, unquote, before ending the interview and leaving in a huff. I have no idea if it happened or not. I mean, but that sort of behavior, it seems far more along the lines of, like, I don't know, Johnny Sexton. But either way, it was more ugly drama surrounding a match that needed no extras after another completely dominating performance by the world's #1 team. So South Africa They are the winners of the boringly named Rugby Championship for the first time since 2019, and deservedly so. They dominated the tournament. They put old foes to the sword emphatically. Everyone who watches rugby knows they are the best. For the love of all gods, can they please shut up about it for once? Anyway, we also had the first leg of the 2024 WXV. I was frankly unreasonably excited for it to kick off. As you know, there are 3 tiers to this competition. My USA Eagles have the good news / bad news thing of being in the top tier. If nothing else, I hope it makes us stronger in the long run, because it's going to be very tough at this stage in the competition. Anyway, the WXV won. Let's face it, it was a momentous weekend for women's rugby. In this top tier, Canada smashed France 46-24 to move up to number 2 in the world for the first time in their history. And of course, Ireland, who were in a massive shambolic mess just a year and a half ago, maybe less. They took down the Black Ferns right at the death, 27-29, proving friend of the pod Alice Soper right. Winning the World Cup has precipitated a huge decline for New Zealand, and you can't really just not notice it. Like, it's really kind of obvious. Anyway, my beloved Eagles did get stomped, as I had imagined, but still, they put up a fight, got some scores of their own, which is exactly what we were hoping for. As I chatted with Rugby Julia before the weekend kicked off, we'd both sort of preferred to have kept the Red Roses under 50, but as Stephen Wright once said, you can't have everything. Where would you put it? 21-61 in that one. By the way, I'm not trying to shortchange or sidestep any of these results, particularly that Ireland win, but I'm trying to line up some guests who will do a better job of going through it all than I can. So as always, stay tuned, if you please. The WXV2, Wales versus Australia got us started. How great was it seeing Michaela Leonard and Kira Bevan before the game, like for the coin flip? I was reminded of a great scene in The West Wing when 6-foot-tall Alison Janney is walking along with 4'11" Kristen Chenoweth, and Janney just suddenly stops and just says, "It's weird that we're the same species." Anyway, not a great crowd as far as I could tell, but the place is so cavernous that there easily could have been 10,000 people there without me noticing. Wales, they looked sharp coming out of the gates, but it was Australia catching them off guard with a quick tap that led to an easy try, and you felt like this thing might come down to who had the ball last. But after Wales tied it up, right on the cusp of halftime, it was Karpani shedding defenders to smash one down for the Aussies. They took a 10-5 lead at the break. As the comms were saying, Wales just couldn't get back to the spark they showed early on. The Wallaroos completely blew them off the park in the second half. The longer it went on, the more it seemed to snowball. It felt merciful when that double whistle blew. Revenge was had by the Aussies. Wales are left with a ton of questions. A disappointing performance after maybe the first 20 minutes, and a massive start for Australia, winning 37-5 in Cape Town. Meanwhile, South Africa, they of course, they won 31-24 over Japan. Was that the home field advantage maybe kicking in? Anyway, my favorite result of the weekend was, of course, Scotland shutting out Italy. I almost say Italia every time. I always abbreviate ITA, and then I go Italia. Yeah. Anyway, so it was 19-0. The Scottish women look as good as I've ever seen them. I can't wait to see how this competition unfolds for them. The WXV 3, of course, a little more lopsided, but featured for me a totally unexpected result, a draw between Netherlands and Samoa. Then while Fiji, they took care of Hong Kong, China 38-3, and then the big one, Spain dismantling Madagascar 83-0. Yikes. Anyway, moving on, the FPC, I started to feel a little bit of sanity returning. Like, the comms very clearly told us the match between Counties Monaco and Canterbury was our first semi-final of the competition. Another clue, they said it was the first semi in the Premiership. So I think my theory about, two divisions on different schedules might have been right. Would there be 6 more semi-finals, or would we find out the actual final got played 3 weeks ago? Maybe. But at the start, I at least felt like I was on solid ground for a change. Quick update, by the way. Yes, since I first wrote that, it appears that yes, the championship final was played a few weeks ago. Manawatu smashing Otago 33-3 on September 22nd. I think I actually reported that score without even knowing it was all for all the marbles. Anyway, Canterbury. They looked to be in control for most of the first half, leading 3-1. After about a half hour, they took a 12-24 lead into the sheds, but it was a great crowd on hand, and neither they nor their team were giving up just yet. As we approached the final quarter, by the way, I've decided something. For the entire history of this show, I've tried to avoid saying the word quarter without adding the phrase of play, because A, I don't want people to think that rugby has 4 quarters, or that I think that rugby has 4 quarters. And B, I know that old school rugby fans hate the use of the term quarter at all because they equate it with other aspects of like NFL terminology that keeps kind of creeping into the game, like red zone and so on. So I've decided I am not using that little prepositional phrase anymore. If you added up the times that I've added of play into my dialogue every single week, it probably would make for an incredibly long episode all on its own. I just don't want to anymore. So let the word go forth. I know rugby is 2 40-minute halves. Y'all can get over the fact that even professional commentators use American football-style terminology every now and then. So, as we approached that final quarter, counties, they were within 5, but a yellow card took the wind out of their attack. But Canterbury, they gave away one of their own. The home team pounced, taking their first lead of the day. A gorgeous day, by the way, with 14 minutes left on the clock. A second yellow against the visitors looked like it might have spelled doom, but a try right at the death was enough to seal it. Canterbury coming back to win 31-36, a heartbreaker for the Heat. Then, of course, Waikato women versus Auckland Storm. That was our other Premiership semifinal. Waikato, they came out with tons of energy, fighting for every loose ball, keeping the visitors on the back foot. Though I expected Auckland, they were playing the long game. They would have a long way back, however, as the hosts leapt out to a 21-0 lead early. I started to wonder if I'd been paying adequate attention this year because it started to look like a massive blowout as we went into the intermission. A stunning 8-1 and a half-century on the board for Waikato. By the end, it was a shocking beatdown. I just never saw a performance like this coming from an experienced team like Auckland. Their 2 tries in the match were positively dwarfed by the mighty attack of the Waikato women, who, having lost 3 Premiership semis in the past, broke that hoodoo with a resounding 69-12 win to punch their ticket to the Farah Palmer Cup final. So next, this is traditionally where we talk about the NPC, but I've decided to break that part of the conversation off into sort of a a mini semi bonus episode. It's already dropped yesterday. That should be available. It's on YouTube. It's on all the places where you usually get your podcasts. By the way, my producer is telling me that I've used the maximum number of hyphens that I can use for one script. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, it's an incredible competition. If you have any interest at all, please check out the bonus episode on YouTube or get the full audio version on iTunes or wherever else, Spotify, all your usual places. Anyway, the URC was up next. Your game of the week was, of course, my Connacht hoping to bounce back at home against the Sharks, who, like the Stormers, did not send their A squad for this first swing up north. I was very much hoping we could take advantage of that fact. I forgot to mention last week, I had no idea that Connacht had signed Josh Ioane. Regular listeners will know I love that guy. He had a great game last week despite the loss. I feel like he's already bringing a lot to the table. He's already clicked. I'd like to take just 2 seconds here, though, to complain about the fact that Irish internationals for other teams don't get treated with the kid gloves that Bundy Aki gets. Like, why are we waiting for him to join this squad again? Why are we always waiting for Bundy Aki to join the squad? Like, he's on the team, right? For someone who almost made the difference for Ireland in a damn World Cup, why does he need more time off than everyone else? Would Connacht be better off just forgetting about him? Can they actually rely on him? I'm seriously asking. I love the guy, but where is he? Anyway, sorry, little mini rant there. I'm surprised to hear myself say it, but the Sharks, they seemed unprepared for the onslaught and physicality that Connacht brought in the early stages. But Oh boy, did that change quickly. After scoring first, my guys kind of folded up their tents and watched the Sharks do whatever they wanted. The visitors took a 20-point lead into the lockers. Just a terrible outcome in Galway for the first half, 7-27 at the break. I don't know what was said during that intermission, but Connacht went bang, bang, bang with Jennings, the most red-headed person I've ever seen in my life, tearing a line to make it 26-27 in front of the reduced capacity crowd of 4,500 with under 2 minutes to go. The comms said, quote, Peter Dooley comes up with the goods, unquote, as Connacht got a game-winning turnover, an incredible comeback to win 36-30 with the Sharks, to their credit getting a losing bonus point thanks to a penalty right at the death. I was completely wrung out after this one. Can I even handle following this team this year? I'm just not sure. Anyway, there was, of course, more action throughout the URC. The second round started in earnest on Friday, with Glasgow hoping Benetton for their home opener, both teams looking for their first win this year. It was Adam Hastings' first start after his return from exile to Gloucester. Poor sod. Benetton's discipline, it failed them completely. At one point, they were down to 12 players as Glasgow steamrolled to a win for their home opener, 42-10. I honestly thought it should have been a lot worse for the visitors, in fact. Side note here. When Hastings, by the way, got his head, completely just taken off, I mean, it actually literally rolled around the pitch for like 20 seconds before they managed to catch it and just reattach it. Like, did they take him out and assess him in any way? Oh my, no. But no, don't worry. There's a lot of concern over player welfare right now, so I'm sure he'll be fine. I mean, provided they can, strap him to a gurney up in some Gothic tower and hope lightning strikes, I guess. It was kind of sickening, frankly, though in fairness, they did keep him out after halftime. Anyway, Leinster versus Dragons, that one went much the way I imagined. Dragons failing to score a try and Leinster rolling to an easy 34-6 victory. Friend of the pod, Bernard Jackman, described it as a so-so performance for the home side. What a boring team to root for, man. Like, ugh. Anyway, on Saturday, the Lions, they were at home for Ulster. It looked like they might shut out their Irish guests before John Cooney got over the line with the clock well past 40, making it a reasonable 10-5. Oddly, I guess this is a side note, I saw Daniel Cassende on the Lions, when I know for sure, I've talked about it on like 3 pods already, he signed with the Welsh region. I'm pretty sure it was the Ospreys. Like, what gives with that? Are there 2 of him? Either way, Lions, they were too much. Doak's conversion to make the final score 35-22 was Ulster's first actual successful kick of the day. Definitely an issue I hadn't foreseen for Ulster. The other South African team at home this week was the Bulls. They were hosting Edinburgh, and in part thanks to a yellow card against the host, Edinburgh, they were able to make it 12-10 at halftime in the outrageous heat. As we entered the final quarter, though, Edinburgh, they held a 1-point lead. Another yellow looked like it might open the door for what could be a shocking road win. Sadly for them, some very heads-up play. While the visiting players were either, lying on the field in pain or basically napping, got the Bulls a go-ahead score. They would win 22-16 by the end. Craigman, if you're listening, sorry. I can't imagine how you're already feeling about this season. That was rough. Zebre, of course, they welcomed Patricia Vieira and her Munster team to Parma for lovely cocktails and a rugby match. I came in very late to this one. I was shocked to see Zebre up 39-28 with 6 tries on the board. Did Munster forget how to play defense this year? Did they accidentally, leave it locked in the cabinet somewhere? So a shrill blast from Holly Davidson announced a turnover for the hosts with only a minute showing. That would be enough. A final kick as the clock went red, and it was a massive victory for Zebre, 41-33, after being down, by the way, 50-28 at halftime. Holy cow. We also had our second Welsh derby in 2 weeks, this time featuring Scarlets hosting Cardiff. This match had a lot riding on it, because when I asked friend of the pod, Hugh Griffin, how he felt about last weekend's draw against Benetton, he said he was happy, but if Scarlets lost to Cardiff, I'd never hear from him again. As it played out, Scarlets were scoring a point a minute after a quarter hour, but it was 15-12 at the intermission. 2 yellow cards against the home team in the second half. That opened the door for Cardiff. The column's describing it as the equivalent of an open goal situation by the end. It was a painful 15-24. Can we call it a meltdown officially? Hugh, my friend, It was so great knowing you. Godspeed, my friend. To finish off round 2, Ospreys, they were back in Swansea to take on the Stormers, though, with the squad that they've sent up north this trip. They might have been called the Little Black Rain Clouds rather than the full Stormers. Where do I have this here?
I'm a little black rain cloud, of course.
Gotta say, it was an odd stage that the comms set as they began with, "Welcome to the Brewery Field in Bridgend, where the beers are swilling and spilling in the stands." Like, guys, first of all, it's not the fall of Rome. It's a rugby match. Also, for the record, beers can't swill themselves. They rely on people like me to do it for them. Anyway, it was a close one in the first half, Ospreys tying it up just before the break. And with 10 minutes to go, Ospreys, they were ahead 6. James Ratty, he got the home team a huge turnover for the home team. Did I just say the home team for the home team? Anyway, that led to a penalty try that put the nail in the coffin. Ospreys, ecstatic to win at their home away from home, 37-24, quote, "It's been a battle," unquote, said the comms, and boy, howdy. Anyway, over in the Gallagher Premiership, we of course were treated to an 85-point shootout on Friday, with the frustrated Bristol Bears coming up short at home to Gloucester of all teams, 41-44. Holy smokes! My Harlequins, they doubled up lowly Newcastle. It's starting to feel like bullying a bit, at this point. Anyway, Saracens, they took down Sale with relative ease, 45-26 at the Stone X. The rebranded champion Saints defeated Exeter at Franklin's Gardens. Sorry, not calling it the cinch, for Pete's sake, especially not when they're using all lowercase letters. I can't stand that. Anyway, on Sunday, the Leicester, are you really sure they won this thing? Tigers, they lost to the angry swarm that is Bath, 15-20 after leading at halftime, mind you. Anyway, over in the top 14, our game of the week had to be table-topping Toulouse, taking on my Bordeaux Begle, a game I feared might really get out of hand, but the world's best number 9, he was actually playing beach rugby with Dallin Stanford and friends in Santa Monica, so we didn't have to worry about him. Also, if I saw the pictures right, he then might have been in L.A., watching the Chargers, who I'm still sad left San Diego, by the way, getting kind of mildly smacked around by Louis Rees-Zammett's former team. Blair Kinghorn, he got the first try of the night and continues to make people across Scotland start to swear out loud before reminding themselves that they're rooting for the guy. Because, come on. The guy, come on, right? Anyway, Ubebe, they pounced when they found themselves up a player, taking a rare lead against the reigning monsters. But I didn't imagine Toulouse were too bothered. Kapawatso, he was everywhere in this one. The comms described him as, quote, lightly built right wing, and it was a potentially misleading 7-13 as they were whistled off the pitch for the break. A potentially back-breaking try, though, was waved off, rightly so, but Ubebe still clung to that 6-point advantage as the third quarter bell tolled. Toulouse, off a crazy Ramos breakaway, scored next, but muffed the extras to stay behind 1. Ubebe, they padded their lead to 4 with only the final moments remaining with the clock 3 minutes past 80. The comms shouted, quote, history-making defense, unquote, as Ubebe claimed the unlikeliest of turnovers to lose. In shock, a simply unbelievable ending when it looked like certain doom. What a game by my gritty Border Beagles, beating the unbeaten 12-16 in the Dragon's Lair itself. Incredible. Phew. Okay, sorry about that. Just got a little carried away. Got really worked up. I really, really, really didn't expect my guys to get a win there. So great stuff. Anyway, elsewhere around this insane competition, we, of course, had Perpignan beating Clermont 33-3. Bayonne, they snuck one past Montpellier 28-27. Weird Lyon, they beat Castres 40-38. Racing got pipped by just a point in Paris, losing to La Rochelle 16-17. Toulon, they smoked Vannes 54-19. Pau, surprised, I swear, like, they're always middle of the road, but every time Pau win, I think, really? They won? Anyway, surprise or not, they did beat the drink boxes, Stade Francais, 30-16, and things are already getting pretty nutty in this league. Anyway, elsewhere, I didn't get to see any of this, but we had World Cup qualifiers for South America featuring clashes between Peru and Venezuela, Colombia and Costa Rica, and Chile and Paraguay. This was an elimination tournament which ended with Colombia taking the prize in a 5-50, I should say, blowout of Venezuela. The prize in this case is the right to play Paraguay in 2 weeks for a shot at the Sudamericano 2025 tournament. The winner of that tournament qualifies for the 2027 Rugby World Cup as South America won and will join Argentina as the second confirmed South American team to qualify. Sorry, I'm trying to turn down my brightness. My battery's about to die. There's still hope for the others, by the way, in this tournament. Just barely. More on that when we get to it in due course. Worthy of note, Colombia put up, get ready for it, they put up a 0-136 victory of Costa Rica. You know they're feeling good right now. It gets complicated who else can win, but we're already down here planning that final repechage. Not something I'd like to be anywhere near. That has to be the highest stakes outside of the World Cup, right? Last shot, the final name on the ladder, all or nothing. Keep an eye out for the next few months. There's some serious fixtures brewing. Anyway, that brought us to our Diamond in the Ruck Award, and this week the award goes to Alessandro Fusco. Signor Fusco, your 2 tries in Parma this weekend were the difference in your massive win over recent champions Munster. What a party it must have been afterwards. Thanks to you, we've already got early season drama, and you were the one who sealed the deal. Alessandro Fusco, congratulations to you, for you are this week's Diamond in the Ruck. Well done, my friend. Okay, that brings us to our updates and previews. Once again, there's just too much to actually list item by item. But, of course, we've got our regular competitions. We've got the top 14, the Prem, the URC. It's round 2 of the WXV. It's the Premiership final in the FPC and the final round in the NPC, which should be absolutely unbelievable. Again, if you're not caught up on that comp, I urge you to check out the NPC deep dive from Monday evening. How good is that? Well, my friends, that does it for another week. I'm just a perfect combination of excited and exhausted right now. I'm pretty bummed that the NPC is going to be ending. It's the best season yet for me, but with that, in fairness, it's going to give me more time to actually pay attention to the top 14, which I haven't really done yet. And of course, I'm working hard to line up some more special guests, so keep your eyes posted, because the Scrum of the Earth Season 4 is just getting better all the time. So, cheers, talk to you soon, and of course, be well.
It gives me great pleasure to be here today.
Oh, it does, Neat. You want to tempt the wrath of the whatever from high atop the thing?